We suck again!
You know, there comes a point in time where you think you've seen it all when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. You think you've seen everything where no matter what they do, that you would not be shocked by how the Cleveland Browns would shock you. Surprisingly, today, they shocked me. They shocked me. Not in a good way. In a horrible, no good, very bad way. This offense is putrid. It's disgusting. It's absolutely offensive in every imaginable way. This offense that every single reporter has been touting, oh, it's a brand new look. Ken Dorsey is the QB whisperer. Look what he did with Josh Allen. Look what he did with Cam Newton. Look at what he did. Look at what they all did together. Look at what he did with every single quarterback that he's worked with. Deshaun Watson legitimately may be one of the worst quarterbacks I have ever seen play as a Cleveland Brown in the expansion era. And I'm not being hyperbolic. He legitimately put together one of the worst halves of football offensively that any Browns player has put together. They had the lowest amount of yards since 2016 when they went 1-15. They had one first down in the first half, the lowest since 2005. Deshaun Watson legitimately is one of the worst looking quarterbacks in the entire football league. Not just as a Cleveland Brown, in the entire NFL. Deshaun Watson has gone from one of the top 5 best quarterbacks in the league to one of the bottom 5 quarterbacks in the league. And I am not being hyperbolic. I said this in my last video with my major concerns before the season started. If you guys did not watch that video, the 3 things I said I was concerned about this offensive line, I was concerned about Deshaun, and I was concerned about the receiving room. Lo and behold, those 3 concerns came and they showed their faces today. This offensive line legitimately is one of the worst in the league. If Jedrick Wills means this much, Jedrick Wills means this much to the offensive line, then your offensive line is not good. I'm sorry. It's not good. DeJuan Jones looked horrible today. James Hudson, you don't really notice him. Surprisingly, James Hudson, you didn't even notice him. At least I didn't. I really wasn't paying attention to James Hudson. DeJuan Jones, I think, was worse than James Hudson today. That's how bad it was, okay? Teller looks slow. Joel Bitonio looks old. Ethan Posick looked a little bit out of sorts today. I mean, this was terrible. Deshaun Watson, from the time that I'm recording this video, it was about a minute and a half left. Jerome Ford just scored a touchdown. Deshaun Watson had 22 pressures, sacked 6 times. That's not a recipe for success. Now, granted, Deshaun Watson sucks. He sucks. I said this before. I said this in my 3 concern video. The main thing that was brought up that I said was the worst thing that you can bring up in terms of defending Deshaun Watson was the 5-1 record from last year. I went over every single game that Deshaun Watson played, and I said there was one game he played, one game only, that he played where you can say he did a really good job, and that was against the Tennessee Titans week 3. He was 27 of 33 for 297 yards and 2 tutties. That was the only game he's played. The only game he's played in the last 12 games as a Cleveland Brown. 13 now because, or actually no. He played 6 games in 2022. He played 6 games. So yeah, 13 games. He's played 13 games. He's looked good in about 1. He's 1 for 12. 1 for 12 in 13 games for the Cleveland Browns as the starting quarterback. And I have idiots on Twitter. And in different sports media that keep telling different Browns fans, Deshaun Watson, Oh, once the train leaves the station, when Deshaun comes back and shows out, he shows the league. I don't want to see people jumping on the bandwagon. You guys are morons. What are you looking at? You are holding a memory of a guy that was good 4 years ago. It's been 4 years. Now, I don't know where the talent has gone. The talent has disappeared. Deshaun Watson legitimately was a top 5 quarterback in the league in 2020. He was. The talent was there. It was there somewhere. But for some reason, it has just disappeared into the ether, into the void. Deshaun Watson is not a good quarterback anymore, guys. I am sorry, but it's time to admit facts. Deshaun Watson is not a good quarterback anymore. He is not a good quarterback. Deshaun Watson is legitimately one of the worst quarterbacks in the entire NFL. And if that hurts your feelings, and if you say, oh, it's one game, it's not just one game. It's been 13. He's been good in one. One game out of 13. This is not rust anymore, guys. This isn't just rust. You can say, well, he didn't play in the preseason. Well, the entire reason why he didn't play in the preseason was because the offensive line was supposed to be so bad that you didn't want him to go out there and get hurt. What just happened now? 22 hurries, 22 pressures, 6 sacks. He got killed. He was murdered out there by the offensive line. So you'd rather have him killed in games that matter than not? He's going to get killed regardless. I mean, the offense looked like they had no rhythm at all. They had no chemistry, no rhythm. The offensive line looked terrible. The receivers, they could do only so much with what they were given by Deshaun Watson. Jerry Jeudy looked halfway decent. He was probably the lone bright star in this entire offense. I mean, it was just insane. This was insane. And Nathan Zagora said it correctly in the broadcast during the third quarter. This reminded me 100% of 2019 with all the hype, the manufactured hype around the Browns and this new look offense, how Ken Dorsey and Kevin Stefanski are going to work together and create this offense surrounded around Deshaun Watson's strength, and it's going to be so good, it's going to be so glorious, it's going to be so great. Yes, we cannot wait to see the glory of Ken Dorsey and Kevin Stefanski and Deshaun Watson collaborating and creating such a great offense. Yes! And it turned out like this. Oh my God. Meanwhile, you have Baker Mayfield, the guy we let go in 2021 after he tore his labrum. In 2021, granted, he's facing the Commanders, or they're not that great of a football team, but he goes out there, throws 24 for 30 for 289 yards and 4 tutties. There could not be a lower pit of hell for Browns fans than we're currently at right now. We have a $230 million investment made by Jimmy and Dee Haslam, who, along with Deshaun Watson, apparently do not understand what no means, because Deshaun Watson would not be here if it wasn't for Jimmy and Dee Haslam giving Deshaun Watson $230 million guaranteed. Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, they put out their pitch. Deshaun said no. I don't put any of this blame on Kevin Stefanski or on Andrew Berry because they made their pitch and Deshaun said no. Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry can do only so much to surround Deshaun Watson with talent. They have done that. Kevin Stefanski deserves no blame. I don't think he deserves that much blame at all, because we saw what he did last year with 5 different quarterbacks. He took us to the playoffs. He won Coach of the Year. He had a top 5 offense with Jacoby Brissett. This is not Kevin Stefanski's fault. Kevin Stefanski is like 2% of the problem. He is nowhere near what Jimmy Haslam and Deshaun Watson are. Deshaun Watson and Jimmy Haslam are connected like this because you know why? Jimmy Haslam forked over $230 million to get Deshaun Watson to say, yes, sir, I will come to Cleveland, Ohio, even though I said no to Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry. So if you want to blame someone for the shit show that we have seen the last 13 games that Deshaun Watson has played as the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, you can thank Deshaun Watson and Jimmy and Dee Haslam, because the entire blame of why Deshaun Watson has been playing exactly like shit is because Deshaun Watson has been terrible and Jimmy and Dee Haslam forked over $230 million to get him to come here. It's just mind-boggling how the Browns have gone from potentially being on the verge of being a consistent team in the AFC, a consistent team, maybe not just in the conversation of being in the playoffs, to now we don't even know if we have a quarterback. We might go back to looking for quarterbacks in the draft. Do you know how this is how far we've fallen? This is how far we have fallen. I cannot believe what I have witnessed today. Deshaun Watson deserves every single bit of criticism. Jimmy Haslam and D. Haslam deserve every single bit of criticism. The offensive line deserves every single bit of criticism. Ken Dorsey, all those guys involved in the offense deserve criticism for the shit show that they have pulled on us today. Because the entire time in the preseason, we were told, well, we can't have Deshaun out there because the offensive line, we don't know what's going on at left tackle. The left tackle, we don't want him to get killed out there, do we? Deshaun Watson was killed today against the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, at some point, the blinders have to come off. Deshaun Watson is never going to go back to the 2020 form like we all thought he could go back to. He's not going back there. That 2020 Deshaun Watson is a version of the past. It is a ghost. He has gone to the void. He is never coming back. Deshaun Watson is one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. It is time to face reality. Now, you get to turn around and go to Jacksonville, who lost a close game to the Miami Dolphins today. Could you maybe try and see if you can salvage this? Personally, I don't even know. I don't know. The worst part is that you're going to have a couple of weeks where the schedule is quote-unquote easy. The worst part, it's not going to get better. It's going to get harder. And you got outplayed this week by Sam fucking Darnold. Sam Darnold outplayed Deshaun Watson. That's where we're at. And again, we'll go say another thing. The defense should not be blamed at all. The defense was gassed by the middle point of the second quarter. They did everything that they could. And, they gave up, minus the 7 points from the kick return by Turpin. And then you can maybe say, the 2 turnovers by Watson that gave them a short field. You can give them, 6 points, maybe, 6 or 7 points. So they gave up, 21 points, 24 points in during this entire game. I mean, they did what they could. It still wasn't great. The defensive line, Myles Garrett was a disappointment. He had 1 sack, a strip sack, and, he got absolutely cooked. Micah Parsons single-handedly beat the offensive line of the Cleveland Browns. We're in hell. We are in the lowest pits of hell right now as Browns fans, as a fan base, as a team, as an organization. Thank you, Jimmy and D. Haslam. Thank you, Deshaun Watson, for single-handedly ruining and setting back this franchise for years to come. And Houston is laughing to the bank all the way. God, it has never been so over. It's never been so over. And now we can come back next week if we win and start to huff copium and huff, hopium and see maybe if we can, turn this sinking ship around. And if we lose next week, it's time to start playing the violins as the ship goes down underwater. Because, God damn it, I don't see how this thing is going to get any better. I don't. I really, really don't. It's great to be back, huh? 8 months. We waited 8 months for this. I'm so happy. We waited 8 months for that. But anyways, that's it for this video. If you guys like this, if you like this content, want to see more of my suffering, check out some of my other videos on this channel. Hit that subscribe button if you like this type of content. Hit the like button on this video. Helps us out in the algorithm. Gets more eyeballs on this channel and on this video. 0-1. Deshaun Watson. Not great, Bob. Not great at all. I'll see you guys all in another video. Take care.